probably should have reported that. It would have been interesting. It's because it is hard stuff, Mike. It is all hard stuff. And so
Well, you never want to see an organization that's actually doing some good. I mean, everybody can exist together,
right,
even if it needs to transform and be other things now
right,
because it's the 21st century.
right.
But you don't want to see it completely disappear.
Oh, absolutely.
There's room for everybody.
Right. That's what, I mean, I was like, there's a continuum, right? Of
Right.
everything. So there's a continuum of types of service, and there should be personal choice, right? As you say,
Exactly.
And there certainly is not, I mean, we certainly have plenty of people on waiting lists waiting for service. So we don't want to lose any services.
Exactly.
That exists. I just want all of us to keep growing and learning along with the people that we are supporting. All right. Well, after that difficult conversation, I will go on to the next difficult topic, which is the budget. So last Friday, they were supposed to be done with a legislative session. It was an artificial date that they set for themselves because they just have to have a budget done by May 31st, or then they have to go to a super majority to approve a budget by the end of June, and July 1st is when the new budget starts. So those are their real, in stone timelines. So they wanted to get out early and not have to work around Memorial Day. That so far has not happened for them, right? So they didn't even have a budget bill introduced by last Friday. So everybody went home and they said, come back on Wednesday. You might have seen in the paper or on the news yesterday that the governor, the Speaker of the House, and the President of the Senate all gave a press conference yesterday about their agreed upon budget and how they were all so excited about it, and it was going to be fabulous, and it was balanced, and it was a thing of beauty and a joy forever, and it still wasn't introduced and had not been voted on, and it didn't get voted on. It didn't get introduced until last night about 9 o'clock in the Senate. A 3,400 page document got introduced last night. Still has not been voted on because the governor, the speaker, and the president of the Senate forgot to talk to their members who have to actually vote for the bill. They were looking, people were upset because things weren't in the budget that they had wanted, etc. The Senate adjourned last night without voting on that bill. They are still in session. They're going to be they were still working tonight, and they are scheduled for tomorrow. They have like 3 major pieces of legislation that they have to pass. One is the budget. One is the budget implementation bill, which they call the BIMP, B-I-M-P, because the budget tells you how much money is in the lines, and the budget implementation bill tells you how you're allowed to spend it and what you're allowed to spend it on. And then the third piece is there's a Medicaid omnibus bill that has to be voted on for ongoing, hospital and managed care organizations. All of our programs are Medicaid, et cetera, right? I'm not sure what's going to happen. From what we've been hearing from our legislators and from government affairs people, it started out that it was yesterday we were hearing that they were going to give developmental disability services a $2 per hour increase. You know, we've been asking for a $4 per hour increase. People kept pressing their senators last night. By today, they had said $2.50 an hour, which they act like I think that's what it'll end up being. But we shall see, because there's still a lot of pressure going on between all the various interest from senators and from House from representatives. So we'll keep an eye on that. I think that it'll probably be $2.50. The BIMP, the budget implementation bill, finally was filed today, this afternoon. And so it looks like the language is the same in that bill as has been for the last couple of years around DD funding, which allows for 50% of that increase to go directly to DSPs and 50% to be used for other wage items, like, you know, your benefit costs go up as your payroll goes up, right, et cetera. So all of the money is spent on wage related items, but 50% is required to be given directly to direct wages, and then 50% can be like the other benefits and those kinds of pieces. So I think the other piece that is in there is regionalization of community day service program wages. So you remember that they gave a higher amount of funding per hour for people who worked in Cook and the Collier counties this past year. Regular increase was to $16 an hour, you know, quote unquote, that's the average wage. And then in Cook and the Collier, it was $19.55. Or 15% above, you know, what the rest of the state was in Cook and the Collier counties for CILA. Was for CILA employees. They do have in the budget the funding to give that regionalization bump, right? That 15% increase to community day service workers as well. So that is another thing that, you know, is recommended within Guidehouse. So that is a good thing. I think $2.50 is probably, you know, as much as we can expect, because if you remember at the beginning of the year, of the fiscal year, they were raking in money. Illinois was making a lot of revenues. We had really high, like much more than expected. So they kind of, you know, put out this big number that they thought we were going to earn this year, and that has not proven to be the case. It has dropped down to a more back to kind of what it was pre-COVID or in the beginning of COVID. And so they had to ratchet down their number that they thought that they were working with. So when they first started talking about, ooh, this big amount of money that Illinois is making, everyone of us were in line like, okay, thank you, please, you know, give us more money. And so there were 12 different rates. So like the hospital systems, the MCOs, the substance use providers, the mental health providers, you know, everybody that gets a pay rate, right, for the service they do was like, give us an increase, right? And everyone needs it, you know, so, you know, they've had to scale that back. You know, the hospitals initially went in with asked for a 20% rate increase. So, which is humongous, but you know, I think that $2.50 is good, because there are some people that are not going to end up getting, you know, anything, you know, that they ask for. And most of what the governor asked for in his budget address, if you you know, watch that in February, is of course included. That's been part of the negotiations, right? But, you know, childcare, early childhood intervention, education funding, funding for homeless services and housing. I'm trying to think. There was workforce stuff, a bunch of, you know, I mean, all good things, right? These are all good things that compete against each other all the time. So I think, you know, if we get $2.50 an hour, that is probably pretty good. I never believed that they would give us $4 an hour. I thought they should, but I never really believed that it was going to happen. But you have to, you know, keep pushing them. And so, you know, there will be further advocacy afterwards, but we will report back, you know, once we get confirmation. We'll get information out about once a bill is passed and the implementation bill is passed, what that is gonna look like. And again, that will have to be approved by federal CMS, which is the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services. So it usually takes about 6 months for that to get approved, so they can start on January 1st, usually, so about halfway through the fiscal year. The second piece around, we just got today our updated reimbursement summaries for the hours, right? And rates that we are getting from, you know, the interesting things that have been happening around, you know, the methodology for how our the people that we support, your loved ones, services are funded. So they have extended the pause on implementing the new methodology through October. They are working on getting a third-party technical assistance from the same people that helped write the methodology, right, to ensure that they were the people from Guidehouse, to ensure that they are implementing the rate correctly. And then we should get information, I'm assuming, I hope sooner than, you know, October 31st, the information about how the formula is going to be implemented, and then we'll be able to know then what that means to, you know, does it reduce people's hours? The things that they have put out, the information that the Division of Developmental Disabilities has put out lately has been that there is, how do they say it? It's like there's not as many hours reduced as, you know, originally thought. So that doesn't make me feel super confident, you know, that that it's going to be a fabulous methodology. But we'll see what's happening. We are kind of waiting until the budget is addressed and legislators can think again to try to go back and remind legislators that they need to be pressing the Division of Developmental Disabilities to have a plan, include families, guardians, and people affected, you know, ensure that information is out well in advance of any changes to funding and or hours of service delivered, et cetera. And we'll be working on doing some of that, you know, right after probably the first couple weeks in June or mid-June or so, beginning to get back to legislators then to keep that in front of them, because you kind of worry that the Division of Developmental Disabilities is waiting to do any of this stuff until the legislators are out of town, you know, when they're harder to get to. They're not all in one spot, and advocates, are more diffused than, right? But we will keep an eye on that and keep working on it. So that's the main updates I have about Springfield at this moment. Does anybody have any questions about that, or?
Sounds like pretty much just in a holding pattern.
So if they do the $2.50, what would that make the rate?
Let's see.
Is that on 19?
So that'd be like $22.05 an hour. Would be the
That's what Howard comes.
average pay that people would have to make.
And that's in the Scylla.
That would be
That would be the folks in the Scylla. I'm sorry. And then what would it be in a workshop setting?
I think it'll be the same. I think that's
Oh.
what the regional will get us up to. We have been raising our CDS rates. We did this last time when we did raises and made them more similar, as well as adding a 24-hour program enhanced rate as well, so that if you work at a CDS and come and fill in for a shift at Scylla, that you get $2 more per hour. Anybody who is signing into a 24-hour program at AID 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. Or all weekend gets $2 more an hour. And if it's an enhanced support site, anytime they sign into that site, they get $1 more an hour. So,
Hmm.
but
Thank you.
I have another question. I don't know if this, I'm not sure where it stands. There was something, a bill going through the machinations about, I think high schools preparing the program, to direct young people towards DSP. Where, do you have any idea where that stands?
So that bill passed last session, or this last session, I think, or it might have been in veto session the year before. And we actually have a meeting on Tuesday with a couple of special rec districts and AID that are looking at how we can work with some of our local school districts to try to start
Okay.
one of those vocational kind of training experiences. So excited about that, trying to leverage our ability to get a school system to pay attention to us all, because you have to get them to, then allow a curriculum and create it within their vocational, programming. So, so anyway, I'm excited about that meeting, because we've been trying to figure out how to do it, and it's hard to, we don't have a lot of relationships in schools, because we don't have a lot. Yes. But we need to, so we have a hard time getting anybody to pay attention to us. Like, if you send an email or call people to try to, they don't know who we are. So I'm hoping that together, with a group of people group of entities that are working on it, they'll be more interested and maybe return our calls. And so let me know if there are people that you can hook us up with, Susan. So
Yeah, I do actually. Something I heard today that hopefully would, yeah. And I'm happy to do anything. I think I don't, the vocational programs, no, I don't know anything about. And unfortunately, some of the people that I did know at the high school or at the older level are starting to retire as well.
right.
But yeah, I mean, I'll pull every string that I know of. And I know Jim and I have talked about it a bit. I've
Right.
kind of lost track. I've been doing a lot of subbing.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and today was my last day of subbing until,
Hey.
until summer school starts in
Right,
a week or so. But,
right.
yeah, but I'm happy. And there's always as in any school district, there's always changes there, and this people, these people are moving around, and you think, it's a moving target. But-
It is. And we, for a while, this kind of involves our HR department, and training department. And so, and for a while we were down a couple of staff people. And so we just kind of had it on the back burner of trying to pursue, those relationships, but we are working towards that. And, there is also, I think what there is this time, if I remember right, is some legislation around community college, and community college credit, and certification, for, like a DSP training and or trying to work towards, what are some further job ladders, right, within,
Like CNA training for nursing.
within, the, organization,
Like
within,
in high school.
within the programs, right? So that people could, because one of the things I think is that you can advertise or pitch to people about being a DSP is that you don't have to spend a lot of money to become credentialed in some ways in order to start. And then, if you build a ladder where people can get further training and or their experience and training can help them, continue to go up, you can make, okay wages, which isn't really possible for many people that don't have higher education, right? I think that's a positive thing, right? That you can work towards, especially as you build, a ladder of places that you can go. So I still think there's some changes that we still need to make, like, looking at, like a Q has a certain educational requirement, and to me, you should be able to have certain years of experience in the field plus whatever Q training that there is, and still, and be able to become a Q, which is a step up, from, and it has additional duties and additional, money that you get paid, right? So anyway, but I think there are some really good things going on that, and we're trying to, get some traction, with that.
I have a question as to how's the staffing? You were understaffed because of COVID and everything. Has that improved?
No, so I wish, but no, we have about 650 positions at AID and we have about 550 employees. We have about 100 vacancies. That's about split evenly between DD and behavioral health. So about half of those positions are on the developmental disability side. The vast majority of those are in residential programming. We have, still a lot of staff that are doing, overtime, and we're spending somewhere between $100,000 and $120,000 a pay period on overtime. We pay every 2 weeks. So that is like money that you don't get paid. You don't, you just get paid the flat rate. We have been doing and continue to do and add on, all the things that we are able, but every business that I speak to, no matter what they are, can't get people. We just, with one of our new locations, recently have went all out with remote support monitoring to be able to enhance, our ability to support people, not really replace staff, but have an addition to, right, in order to have some higher levels of support. We've been really talking about how we could increase potential volunteer opportunities, like for a second person in a home to either, you know, do one of two things, either spend time with the people who live there, right? Doing things that they want to do, or helping make dinner and all the other pieces, right, that you have to do in order to get you know, supper on the table and get people ready for the next day and all the activities, you know, that are going on. So we're working, and also to be able to support more folks going out into the community from CDS, right, and volunteering and doing other things by being able to have more eyeballs and hands, you know, that are able to assist. So we're working on how we build that out. A person could be a volunteer. You know, we do extensive background checks and screenings. They have to pass the oh, I always forget what it's called, but the screening that DCFS has to, you know, pass, right? In order to be, and then do some training, but as long as they are not alone, you know, and solely responsible for a person with disabilities, with a staff person, right, who is also there, they don't have to have the whole 120 hours of DSP training, which you know, makes it a bit easier to get someone to volunteer if you don't have to have 120 hours of training before you start, right? So, but yes, it's still a huge challenge, and I think I don't have any hopes of it changing. It just seems like you know, the whole dynamic of work changed, you know, over COVID, and you know, people want to work from home, you know, they want to work you know, limited hours, or, you know, other things. And so we're also trying to work on helping staff to also look at positions that way, right? You know, are there you know, is somebody want to work one night a week? Who cares, right? You know, I mean, like, let's, you know, keep you know, one weekend a month, whatever, you know, let's keep track of that and get those people in as well. But you know, it's hard for people's mindset, you know, they're like, we need a 40-hour, you know, whatever, 9 to 5, you know, job, and then people have difficulties thinking flexible. So we're trying to figure out within HR, you know, like how we help people be more creative, and especially when they're interviewing, and you know, that there might be the potential for, you know, carving you know, something out for people that maybe isn't the job that you're interviewing for, right, but is still gonna help you know, 1 or 2 nights or whatever, you know, whatever it might be. But yep, it's our biggest challenge, period, hands down, you know. Which is part of the reason it's part of the reason I'm not super upset about it not being $4. I feel like it doesn't, I feel like at this point, it doesn't matter what you pay in many ways. Right, it's the type of job that it is in particular, right? And that it's 24 hours a day, you know, weekends, nights, you know, it's not easy, you know, it's not like flipping a burger, it's not like making a sandwich. You know, it takes some skill and some finesse and some interest, right, in human beings, and you know, but so yeah, that's why, part of the reason why we are trying to ramp up this high school thing, right, and community college and other things as well, right, because you know, I don't even think people realize that, you know, unless they have a friend or family member, you know, that has a disability, they don't even know that it's a career, right, or a job to do. So trying to work on that. It's a good question, Carol. I wish I had a better answer.
I don't know anybody that's got an answer to find people that want to work, so, you know, it's typical everywhere. I'm in Michigan, and oh my gosh, sir, you don't have, I mean, if you breathe, they'll pay you $27 an hour at this one plant down here. I mean, all you have to do is come breathing. So, you know, it's
Right.
terrible.
Yeah, yeah. Yes, it is that way across the board. And I've found like even, even when we like, so our financial audit for the past fiscal year is not done yet. And our new fiscal year starts on July 1st. So like we're like a month and a half, less than a month and a half away from our new fiscal year that will need another audit done, right? And part of that is because even, at the auditing firm, which is a big, huge auditing firm, and they pay a lot of money. They can't get people, they don't have enough people. I mean, it's everything. I don't know anybody
Every-
that is flush with employees,
Well, you check the medical profession. You can't get an appointment with a doctor. You
right?
can't get it. And so it's across the board. It's not just you.
Yeah.
Not
It
just
really
for
is.
one industry. It's
Right.
everywhere.
Right, it really is. It really is. It really is this very interesting phenomenon. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, I keep, I kept everybody keeps saying, where did the people go? And I did finally read an article a couple of months ago that made a little bit of sense, and it talked about people that were in their mid and late 50s who went ahead and retired during COVID. So they weren't planning on doing that, they would have worked longer, but because of COVID and not, wanting to go out and all those things, and everything was, abbreviated, they decided to go ahead and retire. Now, I have heard also in that same article, they seem to imply that some of those folks were going to be probably looking for jobs again because of the high cost of everything, right? Because of inflation. And hadn't necessarily planned to have both longer time to be retired and the higher costs of everything, food, gas, right, utilities, everything. So maybe, some people will come back, but that's not the vast majority of people that are looking to do a more physically demanding job like DSP can be.
No.
Other questions? If not, I have some questions for you or some things to tell you from one of our departments. Anything else? No? Okay. There are a few things from our resource development committee and department that they wanted you guys to be sure and know about. They are looking for a few more members for our auction committee. So we do the AID auction every year. It's our major fundraising event. It is scheduled for the 28th of September. And so if anybody has any interest in assisting on a short-term committee for auction planning, let me know either by email or whatever, and I'll connect you with Christy Plotsky, our Associate Vice President of Resource Development. Along that same lines, if you know of anyone who owns a business or makes things or quilts or crochets, I say to Susan as I'm looking at her, or other things that could be might be donated for an auction item or an auction basket, let us know. If you don't want to ask someone, we're happy to do that if we have the connection to them. So if you know of anyone, please shoot me an email. We've had a variety of different things that have been really different in the last few years. Like somebody gave a like a fireplace, a gas, like a company that puts in like those gas fire
Inserts.
yeah. And they gave one of those and the installation as a auction item. which by the way, went way higher than I could afford, and so I didn't get it. It was, I thought it was a really interesting, there were several, we've had, art, we've had quilts, we've had, people that put together baskets like, in community groups or, whatever. So if you just know of anybody, we always usually end up putting together an auction basket that's around, like going out, right? So if you know somebody that owns a restaurant or, a bar or, a Airbnb and would be willing to give a $25 gift certificate, whatever, just, let us know and we can, pursue, asking, those folks if they would be willing to share of their bounty. Then the Resource Development Department is wondering if anybody on the Family Council would be interested in participating in Holiday Hopes this year. Holiday Hopes are what we do to get every person a Christmas present that we support across all of AID. And so they need help obtaining gifts wrap, gifts bag, wrapping party, etc., that they need assistance with. So if they're gonna put together, they want to put together a wrapping party this year to wrap all the gifts that are, donated or purchased. And they want to do that with staff and family members, to actually wrap the gifts. So if anybody loves to wrap Christmas presents, and this is, several weeks before Christmas that we have everything done. If you're interested in that or know anybody who loves to do those kind of things, go shopping for presents. I mean, we get a lot of monetary donations, but we have to go physically then buy them, so we can give, that's a job that people can do, like go get these, 20 presents or 40 presents. And the way we do it is that the staff that works with the clients submits a form for each client about what it is that they're interested in or want, and usually it's several items like, a robe and slippers and some cologne, or a variety of things that people ask for and would like to have. And then we have been working over the past few years with a variety of places. We have some faith communities that donate money. We have people that do it for work or, almost like some of those things where you can adopt a, family or a house, we can do stuff like that. It's just been growing every year. I think last year they did 580 presents, I think. And that was with the Resource Development Department of 4 people, of which one is part-time. Like they wrapped everything and bought everything and organized delivery of it all to all the locations. So they are just asking for some help if anybody is interested in holiday stuff. And then finally, they wanted me to remind everyone that the AID Stroll and Roll is coming up on the 11th of June. We have about 160 people registered right now for the Stroll and Roll. A lot of people that we support are registered and involved. We give a very reduced price for that, and make sure that those staff can that are supporting people can attend for free, and be able to bring them and support. It's at Peck's Farm. I think we start at 9 a.m. Is that right, Susan? Yeah, I think that's right. Anyway, the registration is still open. So if you haven't registered, it was the first event was last year, and it was really nice. It only rained for like 10 minutes or 12 minutes, but which, I mean, it was like poured and then gone. But it was a very nice event. Luckily, there's that kind of open barn area. And so we had all kinds of display tables there with all kinds of information about AID. We had wonderful speakers from staff and peers and family members. And so it will be kind of the same thing. And this year's t-shirt is really cool, and it's got the new AID logo on it. And it's a 3/4 sleeve baseball shirt, right? Or what is that called? When it's 3/4 sleeves and the sleeves are different colors than the t-shirt. But our newest logo, we ask our staff to send in suggestions for what's the tagline of AID? What do you say in like 30 seconds, or 5 seconds of what AID does? And then we took the entries and then the whole stuff got a vote on which one of them was our tagline. So it's our same kind of AID logo with the little swoosh and the star, right? But below it says cares, right? So AIDcares.org is our web address in that. So it's cares, community, advocacy, resources, engagement, and support. And then it has our AID little website underneath there. So that will be that's on the t-shirts that you get when you register for the AID Summer Stroll and Roll. So that is all I got, peeps. Unless you have other questions, I will say next time in June, we are doing a presentation on employment first, and how we look at doing that here at AID. And I think we're going to try to combine in, if we think we have enough time, kind of what CDS looks like, what a day looks like, and what kind of upgrades and changes we have done and things that we're working towards, right? So it'll be all about kind of what do people do during the daytime. Next time we have family council. So that would be the presentation on June 22nd. I think I looked at was the day. Yep, June 22nd at 7 p.m. Any further questions or anything that
Well, I was sorry I missed last month. And you had the get together. I didn't get to come because we had a family wedding down in the southern part of Indiana. So
well,
it was a long travel time, but I hope it was nice for everybody and they had a good time and you had a good turnout.
we did not have a good turnout. We had a very small turnout, but it was the first time that we had done something in Elgin. And so, we felt like, remember, we wanted to kind of go back and forth and see if it would, have some different people come from different things. But I think that, everything takes time, right? And so we're still looking at also some ways to get information out about the family council to more families, right? So I think we're looking at doing another flyer kind of invite thing to send home from community day services, and to also look at, is there we put one in a mailing that we did about a year ago, but we just have not had that. There's way more family members than this, right? That are around, and so far the best thing has been word of mouth, right? As other parents, family members, siblings, etc., telling other people, right, about it. But so I think we still are working towards some of those pieces as well, right? To try to get some more folks attending and being able to come. But it was nice. We got very intense conversations because there was not a bunch of us. Mike, you were there, right?
Yes, indeed. And
Yeah.
the sweets were bodacious.
Yeah, they did. There was some really good.
Whoever brought all that good food. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, we got stuff from Harner's for the food, so you know it was
That would explain it.
it was good. We had some slab pies and some
Oh,
cookies and some. It was
well, the last time you had outstanding too, I thought we were all gonna bring something and then AID furnished it all. I was like, oh my goodness.
Maybe
Yeah.
that's what you should put out there for, for as your headline on some of your flyers or whatever that
right free food.
I
It always works, right? We used to say at church, if you feed them, they will come, right? You know.
That's right. We used to say when we meet, we eat. So
Yeah, there we go. I like it. I like it.
That's
I
good.
like it.
Will there be something, any kind of outreach through the family council at the stroll and roll? Or I mean,
That's a good idea. That's a good
Yeah.
idea. We should do a table or something, shouldn't we?
yes.
Yeah.
If you have some flyer information, I do know when we went last year, it was a lot of the houses and people, clients, what have you. But I'm sure there were other people as well.
Yeah, there were other people as well. And this is certainly like this is our second year doing this event in this way, and that's a lot more people than we had registered
Yes.
last year. That's probably twice as many as we had registered last year, and we still have, a couple weeks.
Right.
So I think, so hopefully, it just, again, an event takes some years, right? Of
Right.
being into kind of build up, but I like that idea, and I will see, I will get with Christy, and see what we can get there. I think that's a great idea.
And I'm planning to come anyway, so I would be happy to take a shift at a table or
Okay.
something like that. I mean, David will be there, and as far as I know, Jim will be there, so we can kind of cover David sort of thing, or
Yeah.
yeah. But I don't know if I want to do the whole time, but I have down. My phone has 9 to 12. I'm not sure if that's correct or not.
Yeah, I think that's
What's the
right.
thing?
I think that we, I'm trying to think how it went last year, but I think we kind of gave people some time to get there at 9 and like maybe did, the speaking maybe at 9:30.
Or 10.
And
I
then
can't
we
remember.
walked,
Oh, yeah.
took off around the thing. That's when it
Right.
rained, while everybody's out walking, of course.
Right.
And then just had, people as they were finishing up walking, either, kind of doing at tables and stuff. And I know last time they did, they had a giveaway, like if you got a stamp at each one of the tables that you went to learn about AID, you got to put your name in a drawing for, I want to say like a iPad or something, it was like something like that.
I think there was also free food, wasn't there?
Oh, there's always food. There's always free food. Always free food.
How are you reaching out to the home-based services families?
See,
I mean,
that's
could-
the other thing I was thinking about sending out to sending out with the workers when you guys are meeting with them. Like
Yes, I was gonna
SSAs or whatever.
say, ask the case managers to,
Mhm.
when they visit the families, and even have them, even if you sent something to the case managers to send out to all their families, maybe quarterly or at least biannually.
Yeah.
We've
tried, like all of our all of the people that are engaged with AID are supposed to have family information on file, right, in our system, and that include email addresses and that, but and we have sent out like emails to everybody. We've sent out a variety of things. I don't know what it is that's not like grabbing people. But yes, I think that's a great idea. And we have talked about that, about being able to what other places can we send out something physical, or get something out physically.
Yeah, I think if anybody else has an inbox that's as clogged as mine,
I know, I'm the same
I
way.
don't always open everything that's labeled from AID, but if I get anything from the case manager, I
Oh,
would
okay.
open that.
Oh, that's a good idea. Okay.
Lori, do you think you have phone numbers? No, that doesn't even, that's it. For family contacts for most people?
I would like to say yes, but I'm not, the way people change phone numbers anymore, I'm not sure,
Okay.
how well we get information if family members change until we're trying to, do a person-centered plan or whatever it is, right, that you're trying to get together. But I
Right.
think like a phone bank or something of,
Yeah, I mean, I'm just thinking of my own time, and after June, I've got free time until the middle of August till school starts up again, and I'm just wondering if it's even viable, if it's even legal, whatever, to sit on a phone and say, "Hey, I'm
Maybe a
calling,
phone-a-thon.
I'm a parent and just wanted to tell you about the family council meetings that we have, and
yeah,
um, that sort of thing."
yeah,
But I assume you would also need it in at least Spanish.
right,
Somebody to do it in Spanish. I cannot do that.
right.
I can do preschool Spanish, but that's all. So I can call them, tell them to wash their hands and sit down and
Right.
line up.
Just say,
But
hola, me llama. Whoop.
yeah, okay, whoop,
That's
whoop,
about it.
we're over it already. Yeah, but I just was thinking, I mean,
I could sing the ABCs.
my experience in churches is something I've been told people like to be asked individually.
Yeah,
Now, I don't like that. I find that buttonholing, but
yeah, yeah,
but I've heard a lot of people say, "Oh, I won't do anything or I won't get involved with it unless I'm asked individually." And I'm like, "Oh, okay,
yeah. Yeah,
just a
I
thought."
think I'll do some, I'll look and see if we think we're allowed to do anything like that. But I think the another thing that we could do is, everybody could look at the families that are involved in the SILA that your loved one lives at. You guys are involved. Invite maybe if you invite those people personally, or it might be a way to get some more, because it seems like we have had more people that have that have said they were coming or reached out about it based on someone else telling them that
Right,
participates
right.
in this group than of anything that we've ever like sent out or
Right.
tried to get people engaged in. But
Well,
Julie?
if we have like, I mean, I kind of like the idea of like I don't know, a phone-a-thon, but it's not, they're not asking for anything. You're just saying, hey, I'm another parent and AID really needs your
Family
voice.
input.
They need
Yeah.
your help and voice to help your child or your family member,
Loved
might
one.
not be child. And and then maybe if people get certain things, maybe we can kind of get a reminder, because I can tell you, I have to set reminders in my own phone
Yeah,
because I have the clogged email
yeah,
also.
yeah,
So,
yeah,
and
yeah,
and so you can say, hey, could we text you, a day before to remind you? Because I don't know. I mean,
yeah.
maybe that's a way to go.
That's a good idea too. We have been trying to talk about what internally what tools would be better, because part of the reason why I kept this meeting on Zoom was because people could sign up themselves, right? They didn't have to get in my clogged up email box and me not like get them sent the link to the meeting, and they can sign up online automatically and get it sent. And then it's supposed to, I've got it all selected and it worked the first time, but I don't think it really works anymore. It's supposed to send out an email the day before, saying, tomorrow is your, family council. So that's why Jim has been kind of doing it personally, because that feature is not working the way that I mean, I've got everything checked within the settings that I was supposed to check, but, so we've been looking at like, is there something different, right, that we use that can be more automatic like that, as a reminder.
Yeah.
As well as, is there something where people opt into, a text? We don't have a system that can send texts right now. What we are beginning to do for staff is using the Zoom app, so that would, take lots of, steps from somebody. You'd have to have it on your phone, you'd have to opt into an AID text and that. So I'm just
Mhm.
trying to, we're trying to look at those kind of things, because I agree. I think that, anything that any of us can have that makes our lives a little bit easier in terms of remembering where we're supposed to be and when, because I'm never at the right place at the right time, I feel like sometimes, but, feel like my, calendar manages me instead of me managing my calendar sometimes.
I have a thought.
Yeah.
Is Protected Tomorrow's part of your network? Kind of, do you have any connections with Mary that runs that?
Marianne Ellert.
Yeah, Ellert. I mean, they have really developed this whole online meeting, and they have people from all over the country that get on it. And, but I mean, I guess my question for them would be, what has really worked for you to spread your word
Yeah.
without individually talking to, so many people? How are
Right.
people finding out about your meetings?
Yeah. That's a good idea. Did she present to us one time?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So that's the only way that I know her. But I think that was a connection through Susan and Jim, right? Do you get, yeah.
Yeah, we both are. Well, I'm beginning to use her, and I know he has
Yeah.
in the past.
Yeah.
So,
And they somehow have a system where, you register, and then the day
Mhm.
before you get an email and it has the link again, and,
Mhm.
Yeah.
so,
yeah.
Yeah, they're parent university classes.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. That's a good suggestion to ask them what they're doing. Okay, great. You guys
You
are
know-
always so helpful.
I have another thought that really, actually, Lori, it probably isn't on your plate, but maybe you would know, of course. As I'm thinking about it, no, I'm just thinking, I feel like there's a lot of parents, even parents that may be associated with AID or not, or whatever, that are not thinking in terms of future planning. And I'm wondering if there's anything that can be done. It probably wouldn't be through AID, but almost through the ISC or something that would include, like with your person-centered plan or whatever, some of your meetings, just to say, have you given thought to future planning? And parents, I just can't. Okay, and just kind of make sure that's a part of a discussion on a regular basis, so that they can't say, "Oh, I never thought about it." And
Good night.
I think,
I have things to take care of. Good night, everyone. Talk to you next month.
Bye, Carol.
Bye.
Bye.
but it just seems to me that there are still parents out there that are not, or parents or family members. I spoke with someone today who is associated with AID, who said, "Oh, yes, I'm going to start, I need to start stepping up," sort of thing. And I just think that there's a lot of folks that aren't, it's not really on the radar. And I get it. It's very scary. And when I came in the middle of the discussion at the beginning, and I kept thinking, one of the reasons I would really like some kind of employment for David is that I know right now he gets $60 a month. That's chicken feed.
Yeah.
Or another word for it. I would love to know that he has a few extra dollars coming in every week, especially if I'm not able to provide it on a limited retirement income, or even when I'm gone, you
Right.
know, and I would love for there to be that, but that just circles back to trying to think ahead. And I know it's scary. I know the bottom line is I have to think about what's going to happen when I'm dead, and that's no fun. And there are a lot of people who have done a lot of that, and there are, I think, people that haven't. And I'm just wondering if that's something that we can bring up, something that, you know, the AID maybe could reference, or, you know, and then say, hey, contact this person or contact the RISC, or I don't know, just
Right.
something like that.
We have,
And maybe say, oh, hey, we can, and then we plan a time, you know,
Yeah.
whether it's with Marianne or whether it's with someone else, to say, yeah, we're going to actually be talking about some of that.
yeah,
You know.
we have been, you know, trained at least once a year in our, you know, calendar to have
Yeah.
something about that. And before COVID, we had a couple of different like fairs, if you will. We had one in information fairs, where we had planners and healthcare and just all different kinds of things that kind of were, you know, just like an information fair, right? Of all kinds of presenters that we did, one in Elgin, one in Aurora. So, you know, it's time to, you know, get back to some of those
Refresh
more,
that.
you know, in-person kind of things. So, yeah, I
Mhm.
agree.
Well, I was thinking too, following up on that Protected Tomorrows, where, yeah, the parent universities are all on Zoom, and they're from all, you know, you are seeing people from all over the place. And yeah, so I think that's a really valid thing to kind of pull together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, everyone, for your input and for your
I have a quick question.
yes.
Are we having a table at the walk?
Yeah, I'm gonna get it set up so
Well-
that I can do it.
Okay, just let me know, and I can do something, because I know my son is being taken by his house,
Okay.
but I'm gonna go, so I can do something. And can I just add something else? And this is kind of out there. And I know I like what you were saying about ISCs, but I can tell you, I'm on the board of Service Inc., and they cannot handle one more thing at this point. I mean, just like everyone else, there is shortages, there is huge caseloads. I'm not saying that it won't be one day, but I mean, and Lori probably knows this, they keep changing their job. And yeah, I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, but they are another victim of workforce shortage as well, and they haven't gotten increases like the providers have to provide services so that we can pay more. So I think we've hired 3 or 4 people from Service Inc. Here at AID, right? I know we didn't go and get them; they came to us. So we never like. I never want to poach anybody. I don't.
You're not a headhunter.
Yeah, no, I don't approach anyone and ask them to jump ship. But you know, if people,
No, I know.
we're gonna take advantage of it. All right. Well, thanks you guys. I always enjoy, sometimes I go, oh, I don't want to stay in the office until 7 o'clock, but then I get usually a lot of stuff done. And while I'm waiting, when there's no one here, and then I always enjoy our conversations. So, thank you very much. Have a wonderful Memorial Day, weekend, and, we will see you on the 22nd of June for a discussion about, employment and community day programs, and you know, how that looks and what we're moving towards.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. This isn't gonna work.